This is the FM Gold channel of All India Radio. In the program News Analysis, now we bring you a discussion on 75 years of Quit India movement. The participants are Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and Chetan Chauhan, journalist.
Mr. Tandon, the Prime Minister today in the Parliament gave a speech on Quit India movement, and he also spoke about how the freedom fighters have fought for the country, but there are many challenges before the government. I would like you to elaborate on few challenges which you think, even 75 years after Quit India movement and now 70 years after independence, India is still facing.
In his last Mann Ki Baat, the Prime Minister outlined 6 major challenges which we are facing even after 70 years of independence. And he, in fact, outlined his vision, how to accomplish those unfinished tasks of the independent India in the next 5 years. So the roadmap which the Prime Minister has now given to the nation is that from Quit India movement in 42, in 5 years' time, the country got independence. Similarly, now he has outlined a roadmap from 2017 to 2022. And in that roadmap, he has outlined 6 major challenges which the Indian society faces today. Of course, the most important and significant challenge is poverty, which he has pointed out. Then is the cleanliness, the drive about which the Prime Minister himself is very particular. He launched 3 years ago. Third is casteism. Fourth is communalism. Fifth is terrorism. And sixth, literacy. So he has outlined these 6 challenges. And while talking about it today in Parliament, he first paid tribute to the freedom fighters and also those who laid down their lives. And then the task which the nation building, which our founding fathers of the Constitution, even Mahatma Gandhi wanted the country to be. He has in fact pointed out towards that, and he has invited all segments of the society, not only the political parties, but all sections of the society to collectively work towards that. So the slogan which the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has coined is now that we have to not only make our commitment towards these goals, but also accomplish them in a time frame of 5 years. The slogan which he has given is Sankalp Se Siddhi. That means first we have to make the commitment and then we have to accomplish it also. The best thing which I personally feel today is that NDA government is also celebrating 75 years of Quit India movement as a national event, as a national day, rather than linking it with any political party. So it is almost at par with the way we celebrate 15th of August. Whosoever is in power in this country in the last 70 years or so has celebrated 15th August as a national day, it's an Independence Day, but first time 75 years of the Quit India movement too is being celebrated today as a national event. And towards that, a large number of functions have been organized. Parliament, both houses had a special discussion on that to pay tribute to the freedom fighters. And towards that, the Prime Minister has taken a lead to make it a landmark in India's freedom struggle and subsequent.
Mr. Tandon, but one question which arises is, but many of the issues which the Prime Minister has highlighted are like poverty, eradication, cleanliness, education. They have been priority issues for different governments in the last 70 years also. Many programs, central government programs as well as state government programs, including flagship schemes, are being run for these sectors. If you see the GBS, the planned budget, this year was about 2.5 lakh crore for most of these schemes. And the government in the last 2-3 years, like Niti Aayog, has come out with this report on poverty, on agriculture. But in 5 years is a short period, I think, to have these sort of goals. So how do you think the government in the next 5 years will be able to meet the targets of the Prime Minister?
Quite a lot has been achieved and done, because when we started as an independent nation, the challenges were enormous. And subsequently, successive governments have also tried their best in the last 70 years or so, but a lot more needs to be done. In fact, some of the challenges are fresh, like cleanliness. It's a very fresh challenge because of the growth in population, industrialization, and as a result, this particular segment, has not achieved the goal which actually we should have. Today we see, and now the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan which the Prime Minister has launched, is basically to make it a mass movement. So unless there is people's participation, So therefore, making it a campaign, the idea is to involve people and make it a collective effort. And rather than even now we know, even for toilets, everybody looks toward the government or the municipality. But there has to be people's participation in maintaining cleanliness. So to that extent, government schemes bring in. But here, apparently, the emphasis is more on public participation, making it a movement, and therefore, the time chosen is Quit India Movement Day. Because Quit India Movement, although the call was given by Mahatma Gandhi, but later on it became a mass movement. In fact, the leadership of that movement was taken over by the people. And therefore, that time, nobody perhaps even thought that Mahatma Gandhi's call for Quit India Movement will result into freedom in 5 years' time. So today when we talk about the same thing, that can we achieve those goals in 5 years' time? Why not? So therefore you need to have a determination, a will to do that. That is why Sankalp and achievement, accomplishment, like the independence in 5 years, that is means Siddhi, to accomplish it. See, the leader's job is to involve people, enthuse them to do something. And if the entire nation gets into that and they somehow resolve that we have to do it, I don't think it's so complicated. Like, I agree poverty alleviation can't be achieved in another 5 years' time, but quite a lot can be done towards that. And for that, again, you can't depend on the government policies alone. So therefore, the society has to become part of it. But there are certain things which we certainly can achieve, like cleanliness. I think 5 years should not be seen as a very distant target. Like casteism. Now, you can't fight casteism or completely root it out in 5 years' time, but there can be awareness. So the idea behind this whole project and the mission is to create awareness among the people. Once people realize that yes, it is their duty, they alone have to fight against these evils. Actually, the targets which have been outlined, we have to fight against casteism, we have to fight against communalism, we have to fight against terrorism. And similarly, we have to fight on the poverty front also. So fight cannot be like Indira Gandhi declared Garibi Hatao, or you say Garibi Bharat Chodo. But if all these things are taken as a mission, launched as a campaign, and there is awareness among the people, and that is where the media role also comes in, and collectively, I think if we can't achieve 100% goal, but we can certainly move toward that, and that itself will be a transformation. One major issue in the 6-point agenda or mission which the Prime Minister has outlined is corruption. Now, corruption again is very deep-rooted in Indian society. But if we can achieve, at least in the higher echelons of the society, like political corruption, there is some evidence, at least corruption in political circles or higher echelons is seem to be visible. Because today there is a fear among bureaucracy, there is fear among government servants that if they take bribe, they will be caught. Look at the number of people in our system, particularly the government functioning, including senior bureaucrats. How many people have been booked in the last 3 years? So that has helped in generating that kind of an atmosphere. Yes, we can fight.
Tandon, there is a mindset problem also. As you spoke about communalism, casteism, corruptions deep-rooted in our society. Unless casteism has been there for ages, communalism has been brewing. If you see the incidents of the government data for the last few years, there have been increase in incidents of lynching, marginalization of the weaker sections. What do you think the government can do on changing the mindset of the people so that everybody can live together in a peaceful manner?
Agreed, because laws alone can't do. If laws were there and we were satisfied, then in the last 70 years, all these evils would have been eradicated. But therefore, there has to be will among the people. And how to generate that, you need to create an atmosphere as a campaign on all these 6 evils. And I think the idea is to make a beginning. Like Gandhiji made a beginning in 42, and the slogan which he gave, many people didn't even agree with that. Quit India, I mean, as if you are somebody who can force the Britishers to go. But the fact remains, in 5 years' time, the country did get independence. So today, if there is a resolve, and also setting an example, all these things, particularly in case of corruption, the example has to be set at the highest level. If the Prime Minister himself has set an example that none of my cabinet ministers will indulge into corruption, and I will see to it, anybody who does will be thrown out of the cabinet, that is setting things in motion. And I think on this particular front, the message certainly has gone down, at least in the government system. And look at the way UPA 2 functions. from the very beginning in 2009 onward, the government got embroiled into corruption charges, scandals, one after the other, and resulted into collapse of that government. So Prime Minister Modi today is very conscious about this fact that if his government can survive for 5 years without any corruption scandal, the people will consider it as an example. So I think the leadership has to take a call. Leadership has to set example for the people, and then it percolates down the system. And therefore, I think a very honest commitment has been made. A beginning has been made in fighting 6 evils which are very much there in the society, very deep-rooted. But I think somewhere down the line, the call has to come from the government or the leadership. Today, Modi is unchallenged leader of the country. And therefore, if he is determined, he is trying to make his system committed to rooting out these evils. And plus, then he is also calling all sections of the society to make it a mass movement. And we do hope that if not 100%, at least some results would be visible in 5 years' time.
India is a country of states. It's a federal system of governance. No target can be achieved without the help of the state governments. Though the BJP in the last 3 years have won many elections, its imprint across the country has increased. Do you think that state governments have that sort of a wherewithal to eradicate the 6 evils which the Prime Minister has elicited?
I think on this particular issue, hardly any political party can afford to disagree. Because all of them are in politics. They need public support. They go to the people and try to get their vote. See, fight against these 6 evils, I think, is a common program. How you fight it, what strategy you adopt to fight it could be different. But Chief Minister also know many state governments have been voted out on the issue of corruption in this country, irrespective of the party affiliation. So if they all want public support, I don't think they will disagree on this. The methodology can be different, the strategy can be different, policies can be different. The fight against these 6 evils, I think, is a common cause, and the whole country is suffering because of that. So I don't think there will be politics at the state level. Of course, the politics will come into in getting credit for that. When there are elections, as we see, if there are good things done, all political parties try to take credit. But here is not something which you are trying to do for political gain. It is basically to improve the society. India today is seen all over the world as an emerging power. India is an IT superpower. But on these 6 fronts, we really lack a lot of cooperation from the people fighting terrorism. Which political party will disagree that we have to fight terrorism collectively? So therefore, I think the 6 evils which the Prime Minister has outlined and given a clarion call to fight against these evils and equating it with the Quit India movement and then setting out a roadmap for the next 5 years, I think it will certainly generate enthusiasm among the younger generation, which are feeling disillusioned because of certain things. And if the entire country can join this campaign, collectively, I think the country has the potential and the inherent strength to achieve quite a lot of it.
Do you think the private sector has been playing a proactive role in ensuring that the call of the Prime Minister on the Quit India movement can be achieved?
Certainly. If you look at the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan alone, in the last 3 years, I think public sector, private enterprise and people in general, in fact the Traders Association, Resident Welfare Associations, they have come forward and they are contributing towards that. But I feel if the private sector helps in other sectors as well, like in poverty alleviation, they can adopt villages, they can adopt areas where they can do some kind of a growth. So the role of the private sector, particularly the corporate sector, is really very important. And I do hope, especially when the call is given by the Prime Minister, the private sector will come out and help in generating awareness. They can spend a lot of money on that. So there is no reason why the private sector should not be joining hands with the government in its effort and in its endeavor to root out these 6 evils.
With the hope that in the next 5 years we'll say quit to many evils which are there in the society. Thank you, Mr. Tandon.
You were listening to a discussion on 75 years of Quit India movement. The participants were Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and Chetan Chauhan, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. This program is also available on our website newsonair.nic.in. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsttalks@gmail.com.